Good morning, everyone. It's Thursday, March 18th. From the San Antonio Express News, my name is Luis Vasquez, and this is your Express Briefing. All of the stories you need to know to start your day. The forecast calls for a high of 74 degrees under sunny skies in San Antonio today. A white gunman was charged Wednesday with killing 8 people at 3 Atlanta area massage parlors in an attack that sent terror through the Asian American community. The sheriff said it was too early to tell if the attack was racially motivated, but the indicators right now are that it may not be. Also today, you're invited to watch as Soledad O'Brien brings diverse voices together to explore the issues of identity in To Be an American, Identity, Race, and Justice. The all-digital 90-minute show premieres tonight at 6 p.m. Head over to expressnews.com to find out how to watch. And now let's move on to our top stories for the day. San Antonio doesn't have Donald Trump to push around and claw anymore, or at least not for the time being. Louis Tussauds Waxworks on Alamo Plaza moved the wax figure of the former president to a storage room because a few museum visitors with intense anti-Trump feelings and a lack of self-restraint kept pummeling him. You can read more about the attacks on the 45th president's waxy likeness and when the figure might emerge from storage over at expressnews.com. For now, Trump is in good company. He's sharing storage space with W.C. Fields, George Washington, and nearly 30 other wax figures. When Texas lawmakers met last month to begin sifting through wreckage of the state's energy grid, many expected to hear tales of poorly insulated power plants rendered inoperable by the latest winter storm. Instead, energy executives raised an even more confounding problem. Dozens of natural gas facilities had not filled out a 3-page application for outage exemptions before the storm, meaning their facilities lost power at a moment when their fuel was needed most to feed struggling power plants. A full assessment of how big a role electric power cut to gas facilities played in the grid outages is likely months away. Yet, how some of Texas's largest and most sophisticated energy companies failed to complete a 2-minute paperwork chore remains one of the most baffling mysteries of last month's deadly outages. Head over to expressnews.com to read more on this story. Companion bills filed in the Texas House and Senate seeking to do away with hurdles facing charter schools that try to open or expand have bipartisan support, but will move the sharp ongoing debate over their rapid growth into the legislative arena. Supporters of Senate Bill 28, called the Charter School Equity Act, said it would level the playing field for charter schools across the state by preventing local governments from treating them differently from traditional public schools and by relaxing state controls. Advocates for traditional public school districts say the playing field is tilted in favor of charter schools. The way to level it would be to require more state oversight and local input, not less, they say. We have everything you need to know about this story over at expressnews.com. Elena Ayala writes, quote, "No matter which party controls the White House, immigration policy will remain filled with complexities and political distortions. So far, the Biden administration has responded with compassion to a spike in unaccompanied minors arriving at the border. It has allowed them to be reunited with parents or sponsors in the United States. A surge in illegal crossings has triggered a blame game in which Republican politicians rush to the border to declare a crisis and blame it on Biden's supposedly soft stance towards illegal entry. In reality, the increase was partly a matter of the weather." You can read Elena Ayala's full column over at expressnews.com. If you have $210,000 for a home, it will go a bit further in the 210. The median home price in San Antonio in January was $259,200 compared to Dallas, where it's $275,000, Houston, where it's $275,900, and Austin, where it's $455,000. Check out a $210,000 home in the 210 and 3 other Texas cities over at expressnews.com. Next up are your need-to-know headlines. You can find all of these headlines and more inside of your Express News subscription. The nation's top immigration official testified before Congress that the Biden administration is working around the clock to handle what could be shaping up to be the biggest migrant surge at the southern border in 2 decades. Meanwhile, Governor Greg Abbott was in Dallas saying President Joe Biden's team has no idea what's in store. As the number of San Antonians vaccinated against COVID-19 has grown by the day, the pandemic's grip has continued to ease, with fewer than 200 new cases reported in San Antonio for 6 days in a row. A San Antonio data team released a new report this week that examined the virus' disproportionate impact on the local community, as well as the lopsided distribution of vaccines. We have a breakdown of the findings over at expressnews.com. The tiger cub and bobcat seized from a home in southeast Bexar County on Tuesday were found malnourished and poorly cared for, according to the San Antonio Zoo. A former Lanier High School teacher and coach charged last year with having a sexual relationship with a student has been sentenced to 6 years in prison. Jose Eduardo Hernandez pleaded guilty to sexual assault of a child. San Antonio Fire Chief Charles Hood could be heard cursing at an attorney during a Zoom recording of an arbitration hearing for a fired firefighter this week. While another individual was speaking, Hood, muffled by his face mask, could be heard saying, "What are you talking about with this shit? Get the fuck out of here." A San Antonio man has been arrested after being found with an assault-style rifle and high-capacity magazine near the official home of Vice President Kamala Harris. A truck carrying 8 immigrants who were killed during a chase with police in Valverde County earlier this week was one of 2 vehicles that were smuggling migrants, investigators revealed Wednesday. According to authorities, the truck was going more than 100 miles an hour before the deadly crash. Paxton and Montana Attorney General Austin Knudsen, along with 19 other states, are suing the Biden administration for revoking the 2019 presidential permit for the Keystone XL pipeline, arguing the president can't change energy policy set by Congress. Airlines cut fares to their lowest levels in more than 2 decades amid the COVID-19 pandemic, according to federal transportation statistics. Yet, San Antonio's airport stands out as one of the nation's most expensive airfields to depart from. In his latest Smart Money column, Michael Taylor breaks down some of his own investment rules to teach his kids about the stock market. You can read more about what we all can learn from the direct listing of Roblox over at expressnews.com. The Express News editorial board writes, quote, "Why doesn't a city as large and as diverse as San Antonio, which serves so much of South Texas, not have a super site? There's no good answer." Read their latest for more on what's holding back vaccines in Texas. Chris Martinez was planning to become a lawyer. But after he started working at his father's electrical company during his freshman year at St. Mary's University, he changed his mind and decided to become an electrician. He became president of the company in 2005. His brother, Ernie Martinez, had been working part-time for the company and came on full-time in 2007. They bought the company in 2010 from their parents, Fred and Rosie Martinez, who started the business in 1975. At Central Electric's office at 2320 Southwest 36th Street on the west side, Chris Martinez recently spoke about how the coronavirus pandemic is affecting operations. You can read our Q&A with them over at expressnews.com. Now that many of us are feeling more comfortable venturing out as the city reopens, explore some of our unsung but very deserving produce markets and save plenty of money on fresh fruits and vegetables along the way. Paul Stevens has your guide to San Antonio's produce markets over at expressnews.com. In this week's Animals Matter column, Kathy Rosenthal explains what to do when a dog suddenly doesn't want to go on walks. Pabst Brewing Company has opened an art gallery in San Antonio's Southtown to show blue ribbon work. It may be their first step into the city's art scene by the brewer, which recently moved into its headquarters here. The Astrodome opened in 1965, a monument to Houston as a space city. So it's fitting that the first movie filmed in the dome was obsessed with manned flight, if not rocket science. Head over to expressnews.com for a look back at Brewster McCloud. Texas coach Shaka Smart and senior guard Matt Coleman have known each other for nearly a decade. and their relationship is among the most important reasons the third-seeded Longhorns are poised for a run in the NCAA tournament. No matter how LaMarcus Aldridge departs, the Spurs likely will finish the season with only one player taller than 6'10". And that's all for today. This is your Express briefing for Thursday, March 18th. My name is Luis Vasquez. Please consider becoming an Express News subscriber to get in-depth coverage on all the stories you heard today. Also, be sure to rate and review this podcast inside of your Apple Podcast app, as it really helps the show. Have a wonderful day, everyone.